The speech ended with a warning. Humanity is a young species in the galaxy. We are still learning your ways. But let Titan Colony be a lesson. Do not underestimate us because we seem weak. Do not threaten us because we seem peaceful. And most importantly, do not invade human nurseries. Our cubs have teeth. 6 months later, Hana Kim was promoted to captain and given command of Titan Colony's defense force. Doyen, Mireille, and Yuna were awarded the Colonial Defense Medal. It was the first time in human history that the medal had been given to minors. They returned to school. They finished their education. They grew up. But they never forgot what they had learned during those 8 days. And across the galaxy, other species learned too. They updated their threat assessments. They revised their invasion protocols. They added new warnings to their military manuals. One Galactic Union ambassador visited Titan Colony to see the school where it all happened. He stood in the courtyard where Taeyang was buried. He looked at the building that had been turned into a fortress. He watched human children playing and studying. They looked so innocent. So young, so harmless. But he knew the truth now. Every game they played was practice. Every lesson they learned was preparation. Every mistake they made was training for the day when they might need to be more than children. He sent a message back to his government. Just 3 words that summarized everything he had learned about humanity. Avoid human children. Because the galaxy had finally learned what the hegemony learned the hard way. The cubs were supposed to stay in the nursery. But when you threatened their home, they stepped onto the battlefield together. And when they did, they were the most dangerous thing in the universe. Young predators learning to hunt. The transport ships arrived at dawn on the 8th day. 3 massive vessels that would carry the captured humans away from their home forever. But they arrived to find chaos. The colony was dark because the power station was destroyed. Alien soldiers were exhausted from the failed assault on the school. Equipment was damaged. Vehicles were sabotaged. The careful timeline that Velthar had planned was in ruins. Hana watched the ships land through Yuna's drone cameras. This is our chance. They will try to load the prisoners today. Everything will be focused on the detention center and the spaceport. Doyen nodded. His shoulder was bandaged, but he could still work. We need to hit them while they are distracted. Free the prisoners. Take control of the spaceport. That is a big plan, Junho said. He was finally healed enough to fight. We are 800 kids and 1 soldier. They still have over 1,000 troops. Mireille looked up from her chemistry station. But we have surprise. They think we are trapped in this school. They do not know we can move through the ventilation system and underground tunnels. Yuna added. And I can disable their communications for maybe 30 minutes, long enough for us to get into position. Hana made the decision. We do it, but not just us. We coordinate with the adults. Hunho, you said some prisoners or soldiers. Can you contact them? Hunho pulled out a small radio. I have been in contact with them for 2 days. They are ready. They are just waiting for a signal. The plan came together quickly. At exactly 0400 hours, they would launch simultaneous attacks. The students would assault the detention center from the underground tunnels. The adults would riot inside and break free. Together, they would take the spaceport and activate the colony's emergency beacon. It was a desperate plan. But they were desperate people. At 400 hours, the colony exploded into violence. Yuna cut all alien communications. Suddenly, the hegemony forces were blind and deaf. Their radios did not work. Their computers shut down. Their drones fell from the sky. 300 students poured out of the underground tunnels beneath the detention center. They hit the guards from behind with everything they had. Thermite charges melted the doors. Smoke bombs created confusion. Stolen alien weapons fired. Inside the detention center, the adult prisoners had been waiting for this moment. When the explosion started, they acted. They overpowered their guards using improvised weapons in sheer numbers. 5,000 adults against 50 guards. The fight was short and brutal. Junho led a team of adults through the chaos. Former soldiers, police officers, engineers, people who knew how to fight and organize. They armed themselves with captured weapons and joined the students. Meanwhile, Doyen led 500 students to the spaceport. They used the colony's maintenance tunnels and service corridors. Routes the aliens did not even know existed. They emerged right in the middle of the alien staging area. The aliens at the spaceport were unprepared. They were loading supplies, not expecting an attack. The students hit them from 3 directions at once. It was not a fair fight. It was an ambush. Velthar received reports of the attacks, but he could not coordinate a response without communications. His forces were scattered across the colony. His carefully planned operation had become a disaster. He made his way to the spaceport personally with his command squad. When he arrived, he found a sight that would haunt him forever. Human juveniles and adults fighting side by side. Children no older than his own species babies, wielding weapons and moving with tactical precision. Adults who had been prisoners minutes ago, now leading assaults on his positions, and in the center of it all, Lieutenant Hana Kim. She saw him and walked forward. She was carrying an alien rifle and looked exhausted. Velthar raised his weapon. She did not raise hers. She just stopped 10 meters away and spoke. "You wanted to know how juveniles defeated your army. I will tell you. You saw children. We saw our future. You saw weakness. We saw weapons you could not imagine. You forgot that every apex predator starts as a cub, and human cubs learn to hunt before they learn to walk." Velthar looked around. His troops were surrendering. His mission had failed. He had lost to juveniles. "To children, this is impossible," he said. "Your young should not be capable of this. It violates natural law." Hana smiled. It was a tired smile. "Maybe your natural law does not apply to humans. We are different. Our children spend 20 years learning, playing, experimenting. Every game teaches strategy. Every school project teaches problem solving. Every mistake teaches adaptation. By the time we are adults, we have practiced being dangerous our entire lives." She gestured at the students around her. "You thought they were weak because they were young. But age is not the same as ability. These kids have skills your soldiers trained decades to learn, and they learned them while playing." Velthar slowly lowered his weapon. "What happens now?" "Now you surrender," Hana said. "We have activated the emergency beacon. Earth fleet will be here in 3 days. You can leave peacefully, or you can stay and explain to my government why you tried to enslave children." Velthar looked at his second officer, Corvin. The other alien made a gesture that meant agreement. "They had no choice. We surrender," Velthar said. "We will depart immediately." The hegemony forces withdrew to their ships. Within 6 hours, they were gone. They left behind their dead, their damaged equipment, and their shattered pride. The colony was free. In the days that followed, the students returned to being students. They cleaned the school. They repaired the damage. They held proper funerals for those who had died. But they were different now. They had seen war. They had fought and won. They had proven something important about humanity. When Earth fleet arrived, they found a colony that had saved itself. The fleet admiral interviewed Hana and the core team. He listened to their story with growing amazement. "You are telling me that 800 teenagers fought off a professional military force for 8 days?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Hana said, "with help from Private Lee and whatever we could make from school supplies." The admiral looked at Doyen, Mireille, and Yuna. "And you three led the tactical planning, weapons development, and electronic warfare." They nodded. "How old are you?" 16, 14, and 12, sir," Doyen answered. The admiral sat back in his chair. "This changes everything. The Galactic Union sees our children as a weakness. They think our long development period makes us vulnerable, but you have proven the opposite." He pulled out a device and began recording. "I am sending this report to Earth immediately. The galaxy needs to know. Human children are not weak. They are the most dangerous untrained combatants in known space." Yuna had been quietly working on a tablet. She looked up. "Sir, I should tell you something. I recorded all the battles, and I already sent the footage to every news network in the galaxy." The admiral stared at her. "You what?" 3 hours ago, Yuna said simply. "I thought the galaxy should know what happened here." The admiral looked like he did not know whether to be angry or impressed. He chose impressed. Within a week, the footage was everywhere. Every species in the Galactic Union saw it. Human juveniles fighting with tactics and weapons. Human children turning a school into a fortress. Human teenagers defeating professional soldiers. The hegemony tried to suppress the story. They failed. Other species demanded explanations. How could juveniles do this? Was this normal for humans? Were all human children this dangerous? The human ambassador to the Galactic Union gave a speech that became famous. "You asked if all human children are this dangerous. The answer is yes. Every human child spends approximately 20 years learning, playing, and preparing for adulthood. During this time, they master complex skills through games. They solve problems through education. They learn social cooperation through play. By the time they reach maturity, they have practiced being adaptable, creative, and resourceful for 2 decades. She paused. You saw our long childhood as a weakness. It is actually our greatest strength. While your young emerge ready for one role, ours spend years becoming ready for any role. You wondered why we are so successful in the galaxy. This is why. We do not just train warriors. We raise problem solvers who can become warriors if necessary. Taiyang died on the 7th day of the resistance. He was leading a small team to steal medical supplies when they ran into an alien patrol. There was a fight. Taiyang stayed behind to let the others escape. When his team came back with help, they found his body. They brought him back to the school in secret. Hana wanted to have a proper funeral, but there was no time. The aliens were getting more aggressive every day. More patrols, more searches, more pressure. They buried Taiyang in the school courtyard at night. All 800 students stood in silence. No one cried. No one spoke. They just stood there in the dark, saying goodbye to the first of them to fall. Hana expected the students to break, to give up, to be too scared to continue. She was wrong. The next morning, every single student showed up for training. They were quieter than before, harder. They had learned that this was real, that people could die, and they decided to fight anyway. Doyen spoke at the training session. Taiyang gave us time to escape. He made a choice. We honor that choice by winning this war. We honor it by making sure his sacrifice meant something. The students agreed, and they got back to work. Commander Velthar also noticed the change in the humans. His soldiers reported that the attacks were becoming more sophisticated, more dangerous. The juvenile fighters were learning from each encounter. He called a meeting with his command staff. We need to end this. The transport ships arrive in 2 days. We cannot have an active insurgency when we are trying to evacuate prisoners and resources. Corvin presented a plan. We assault the school with overwhelming force. 500 soldiers, heavy weapons. We end the resistance in one strike. Belthar hesitated. 500 soldiers against juveniles. Even if those juveniles were fighters, it felt wrong. But what choice did he have? They had already killed 2 of his soldiers and wounded dozens more. Do it, he said. But offer them one chance to surrender first. Tell them we will spare them if they give up now. The message came to the school at dawn, a broadcast from the aliens. Clear and simple, surrender or die. Hana gathered everyone in the gym. She played the message for them. Then she waited. A 14-year-old girl raised her hand. What do you think we should do, Lieutenant? Hana chose her words carefully. I think we should respond. Show them that we are not scared. Show them that human children do not surrender just because someone tells them to. She walked to the computer station where Yuna was working. Can you broadcast a message back to them? Yuna nodded. I can broadcast it to the entire colony. Everyone will hear it. Hana picked up the microphone. She took a deep breath. Then she spoke. This is Lieutenant Hana Kim to all hegemony forces. You came to our home. You threatened our families. You captured our parents. You made one big mistake. You assumed we were harmless because we were young. You thought we were babies who needed protection. You were wrong, she paused. We are going to teach you what it means to make a human child angry. We are going to show you that age does not matter when you threaten a human's family. Come to our school if you want. Bring your soldiers. Bring your weapons. We will be waiting. The broadcast ended. For a moment, the gym was completely silent. Then one student started clapping. Then another. Within seconds, all 800 students were cheering. They had 2 days to prepare for the alien assault. 2 days to turn the school into a fortress. Doyen organized the defenses like a military commander. He had studied siege warfare in his strategy games. Now he applied those lessons to real life. Barricades in the hallways. Sniper positions on the roof. Escape routes through the ventilation system. Ambush points in every room. Mireille prepared every chemical weapon she could make. Acid bombs. Gas grenades. Thermite charges. She trained teams of students to use them safely. Yuna hacked every electronic system in the school. She could control the lights, the doors, the heating, everything. The building itself would become a weapon. Junho, still recovering from his wounds, helped coordinate supply distribution. Food, water, medical supplies, everything they needed to survive a siege. The younger students had jobs too. Running messages, watching cameras, loading equipment. Everyone contributed. On the morning of the attack, Hana walked through the school one last time. She saw the barricades, the weapons, the determined faces of 800 teenagers who refused to be victims. She found Doyen on the roof, watching the horizon with binoculars. "They are coming," he said quietly. 500 soldiers, armored vehicles, heavy weapons. "This is going to be bad. Can we win?" Hana asked. Doyen smiled. It was a tired smile. "We do not need to win. We just need to survive long enough. The transport ships come tomorrow. If we can hold them off for one day, we disrupt their whole timeline. That is a victory." The aliens arrived at noon, 500 soldiers in formation, vehicles with mounted weapons, drones circling overhead. They surrounded the school completely. Velthar himself came to the front entrance. He spoke through a loudspeaker. "This is your final chance. Surrender now, and you will be treated as juveniles under our protection. Resist and we will use lethal force." Hana's voice came back through the school's speaker system. "We already gave you our answer. Come and get us," Velthar gave the order. The assault began. The aliens breached the front doors with explosives. They poured into the hallway. Then they walked into a nightmare. The floor exploded. Thermite charges that Mireille had placed under the tiles. Aliens screamed and fell back. Those who survived ran forward only to hit barricades. From behind the barricades, students fired captured alien weapons. They were not great shots, but at close range they did not need to be. Aliens fell, more came. The hallway became a war zone. The aliens tried to advance through the windows. Snipers on the roof shot at them. Acid bombs fell from upper floors, melting their armor. Yuna's hacked drones attacked from behind. In the command center, Doyen watched his screens and coordinated the defense. "Team 3, fall back to position Beta. Team 5, reinforce the west corridor. Yuna, cut the lights in Section 2. The aliens had numbers and weapons, but the students had preparation and motivation. They knew every corner of this building. They had practiced every movement, and they were fighting for their freedom. The battle lasted 6 hours. The aliens pushed forward. The students gave ground slowly, making them pay for every meter. Bodies fell on both sides. Blood covered the floors. A group of aliens cornered Sora, the 14-year-old who had asked about getting hurt. She had been hit in the arm but was still fighting. An alien soldier raised his weapon, then he stopped. He looked at her. Really looked at her. A child wounded, scared but still fighting. He lowered his weapon. "I cannot," he said to his squad leader. "She is a juvenile. I will not shoot a juvenile." Other aliens heard this. Some agreed. Some refused to continue the assault. Velthar's perfect military force was breaking down because his soldiers could not reconcile what they were doing with their deepest moral codes. By evening, the assault had stalled. The aliens had captured only 3 rooms of the school. They had suffered over 60 casualties, and their troops were refusing to fight. Velthar stood outside the school and realized he had failed, not because his troops lacked strength or weapons, but because they could not bring themselves to kill children, even children who fought like soldiers. He ordered a withdrawal. His forces pulled back. The battle was over. Inside the school, the students counted their losses. 12 wounded, 3 dead, but they had held. Against 500 professional soldiers with superior weapons, 800 teenagers had held their ground. Hana found Doyen sitting against a wall. He had been hit in the shoulder but had refused treatment until everyone else was taken care of. He looked exhausted. "We did it," he said quietly. "We actually did it," Hana nodded. But she knew this was not over. The aliens would try again. They had to. Their timeline was ruined. Their mission was failing. She looked at Yuna, who was monitoring the alien communications. "What are they saying?" Yuna listened for a moment. Then she smiled. "They are arguing. Some want to bomb the school from orbit. Some refuse. Their commander is losing control. That was good news. An enemy that could not agree on a plan was an enemy that could be beaten." Hana looked around at the damaged school, at the tired, wounded, but unbroken students. They had turned their nursery into a battlefield. They had proven that human children were not weak. Now they just had to survive one more day. One more day until the transport ships came. One more day until the final battle. Commander Velthar stood in his command center and stared at the report. A supply depot destroyed, 15 weapons stolen. No bodies found, but evidence of organized combat tactics. His second officer, a veteran named Korvan, pointed at the security footage. The attack came from the south. Smoke bombs and diversionary drones. Very professional. Survivors from the military base, Velthar said. It must be. Increase security around the detention facility. Send patrols to search the ruins. Sir, Korvan said carefully. What about the juvenile containment facility? The school. It is close to where the attack originated. Velthar made a dismissive gesture with two of his arms. Juveniles cannot organize such an attack. It is biologically impossible. Their brains are not developed enough for tactical planning. This was a known fact across the galaxy. Young members of a species lacked the cognitive ability for complex thought. They operated on instinct and simple learning. Combat capability came only with full maturity. Velthar had conquered 17 worlds. He knew what juveniles looked like. Small, helpless, in need of protection. The humans at the school fit that description perfectly. He turned back to the maps. Focus on finding the resistance fighters. They are hiding somewhere in the industrial sector. Leave the juveniles alone. We will process them on schedule. While Velthar searched for imaginary resistance fighters, the real resistance was getting bolder. Over the next 3 days, they launched 5 more attacks. Each one was different. They hit a vehicle depot and disabled 6 trucks. They sabotaged a water processing plant. They stole communication equipment from an outpost. Doyen planned each operation like a chess game. He studied the aliens' response to the first attack and predicted their next moves. He found patterns in their patrol routes and exploited them. He identified weak points in their defenses. Mirai's chemistry skills improved with each mission. She made new types of explosives. She created acid that could eat through alien metal. She even developed a substance that made the aliens sick when they breathed it, forcing them to evacuate buildings. Yuna became a master hacker. She broke into alien computer systems and stole information. She learned their language by analyzing their communications. She could now control 20 drones at once, using them as eyes all over the colony. But it was not just the core team. Hundreds of students contributed. Some stood watch. Some built equipment. Some decoded alien messages. Some mapped enemy positions. They worked together like a single organism, each person doing what they did best. The aliens still did not suspect them. Guards walked through the school every day and saw normal activities. Students in classrooms. Kids playing in the courtyard. Nothing threatening. They did not see the weapons hidden in the ceiling tiles. They did not notice the encrypted communications between students using gaming networks. They did not realize that every question a student asked them was gathering intelligence. Then came the night of the power station attack. The colony's main power station supplied energy to the alien base, the detention facility, and their ships. Doyen had identified it as a critical target. If they could disable it, the aliens would be blind and vulnerable. But it was heavily guarded. 50 soldiers, automated defenses, multiple layers of security. We need a distraction, Hana said. Something big enough to pull guards away from the power station? Yuna smiled. It was not a nice smile. I have an idea. At midnight, chaos erupted across the colony. Alien vehicles suddenly started driving themselves, crashing into buildings. Drones went crazy, flying erratically and setting off alarms. Communication systems began broadcasting random noise. Yuna had hacked everything at once. It was digital warfare, and she was winning. Guards rushed everywhere trying to stop the chaos. 20 soldiers left the power station to help. That was enough. Hana led a team of 30 students to the power station. They moved fast and quiet. They wore stolen alien armor to confuse the sensors. They carried the best weapons they had. The automated defenses did not fire. Yuna had disabled them remotely. The remaining guards were focused outward, watching for attacks from outside. They never looked behind them. The team entered through a maintenance tunnel that Junho had told them about. Inside, Mirai placed charges on the main generators. Not enough to destroy them completely, but enough to shut them down for days. They were leaving when an alarm sounded. The aliens had finally realized what was happening. Guards came running. Go, Hana shouted. Stick to the plan, move. The team split up just as they had practiced. Small groups running in different directions. Harder to catch, harder to shoot. Basic tactics that Doyen had taught them. Most of them escaped. But 5 students got cornered in a storage room. 3 17-year-olds and 2 16-year-olds. The aliens surrounded them. The lead alien soldier pointed his weapon at them. Then he stopped. He saw their faces. Young faces. Human faces, juveniles, he said in shock. These are juveniles. The students did not wait. One threw a flashbang. The bright light and loud sound confused the aliens. The students ran past them and escaped before the aliens recovered. Behind them, the power station exploded. The charges went off perfectly. All the lights in the colony went dark. When everyone made it back to the school, they were exhausted but alive. All 30 had survived, and they had dealt the aliens a massive blow. But something had changed. The aliens had seen their faces. They knew now who was attacking them. The next morning, Velthar stood in the damaged power station. His second officer showed him the security footage. He watched it 3 times. Humans, young humans, moving with military precision, using tactics, working together. This is impossible, Velthar said. Juveniles cannot do this. It violates everything we know about biological development. Corvin looked at the footage again. Perhaps human juveniles are different. Perhaps they mature faster than we thought. Velthar felt something he had not felt in many years. Uncertainty. He had fought many species. He had won many battles, but he had never fought juveniles before. It was against the natural order of things. Send a full security team to the school, he ordered. Search it completely. Confiscate anything that could be used as a weapon. And increase the guards to 100 soldiers. Sir, Corvan said, some of my soldiers are disturbed by this. In our culture, harming juveniles is the worst crime. Even in war. These are not our juveniles, Velthar said firmly. These are human juveniles, and apparently they are capable of combat. Treat them as enemy combatants. But even as he said it, Velthar felt doubt. In all his years of military service, in all his campaigns across 17 worlds, he had never encountered anything like this. Young creatures fighting like veterans, children using tactics that took decades to learn. He looked at the report again. Casualties, 8 wounded, 2 dead. From attacks by juveniles. His troops, veteran soldiers with years of experience, were being hurt by children. For the first time in his military career, Commander Velthar began to wonder if he had made a terrible mistake. Back at the school, Hana called an emergency meeting. She had been watching the alien communications that Yuna intercepted. The aliens were finally taking them seriously. That was good and bad. They are going to search the school tomorrow, she said. We need to hide everything. Weapons, equipment, all of it. Make this place look completely innocent. The students worked all night. They hid weapons in places no one would think to look. They disguised equipment as school projects. They erased evidence of their activities. When the aliens came the next day with their scanners and dogs, they found nothing. Just a school full of scared teenagers and some basic classroom supplies, but everyone knew the truth. The war had entered a new phase. The aliens now understood they were fighting children. And the children understood they were fighting for their lives. The galaxy was about to learn something important. Human children were not weak. They were not helpless. They were not babies who needed protection. They were the most dangerous thing in the universe, young predators learning to hunt. On the 3rd day of the occupation, a young soldier found the school. His name was Junho Lee. He was 22 years old and had been a soldier for only 6 months. When the aliens attacked, his unit had been destroyed. He had been wounded in the leg and had hidden in the ruins of the military base. Now he was crawling through the ventilation system of the high school. His leg hurt badly. His uniform was dirty and torn, but he was alive and he had information that Lieutenant Kim needed to know. Yuna found him first. She was checking the air vents because she wanted to hide some equipment there. When she opened the vent cover in the computer lab, a hand reached out. She did not scream. Instead, she looked at the hand. It was wearing a human military glove. She pulled on it and Junho fell out of the vent onto the floor. Help me, he said. Need to find Lieutenant Kim. Yuna was small, but she was strong. She got him to his feet and half-carried him to where Hana was meeting with Doyen and Mirai. They were planning their first real operation. Hana saw Junho and quickly moved to help. She checked his wounds. The leg was bad, but not life-threatening. They bandaged it with supplies from the school nurse's office. What happened at the base? Hana asked. Junho took a drink of water before answering. They hit us hard and fast. We never had a chance. Most of the soldiers are dead. The survivors are in the detention facility near the spaceport. And the civilians? Hana asked. Same place. All the adults. They are planning to transport them off-world in 4 days. After that, they will strip the colony for resources and leave. 4 days. They had 4 days to do something. What about us? Mirai asked. What are they planning for the children? Junyo looked uncomfortable. I heard 2 of them talking. They said human juveniles are valuable on the slave markets, especially the young ones. They learn fast and live long. The room went silent. Even Hana felt cold fear in her stomach. Slavery. They were going to sell children as slaves. Doyen spoke first. His voice was hard. Then we definitely need to fight. We cannot let that happen, Hana nodded. Agreed. Junyo, do you know how many soldiers they have? Around 2,000. Maybe more. They have heavy weapons and armored vehicles. We cannot beat them in a direct fight. We do not need to beat them, Hana said. We just need to hurt them enough that they cannot transport everyone off-world. If we can delay them, Earth will eventually send help. Doyen spread out his maps on the table. I have been watching their patrol patterns through the security cameras. They are very predictable. They check the same places at the same times every day. Yuna added, I hacked 3 of their drones. I can control them remotely now. They do not know yet. Mirai showed them a box. Inside were devices that looked like small cans. Thermite charges. They burn hot enough to melt through their armor. I made 20 of them. Junho stared at them. You kids made all this? We are not kids, Yuna said quietly. Not anymore. That night they held a meeting with all 800 students. Hana stood in front of them and told them the truth. All of it, the slavery, the timeline, the danger. I cannot order you to fight, she said. You are not soldiers. You are students. But if we do nothing, we will be taken from our homes and sold to the highest bidder. So I am asking you to help. Not everyone needs to fight. Some of you can make weapons. Some can gather information. Some can just keep watch and warn us if the aliens come. She paused. Your parents would tell you to stay safe. They would tell you to cooperate and hope for rescue. I understand that. But I am a soldier and I know the truth. There is no rescue coming in time. We are alone, so we can either wait to be taken away or we can fight for our freedom. A hand went up. It was a 14-year-old girl named Sora. What if we get hurt? What if people die? Hana did not lie. People will probably die. This is war, real war. I will do everything I can to keep you safe, but I cannot make promises. Another hand. A boy named Jinwoo. Can we actually win? I do not know, Hana admitted. But I know we have advantages. The aliens think we are helpless babies. They only have 50 soldiers guarding this school. They do not search our labs or check what we are doing. They underestimate us completely. That is our biggest weapon. Doyen stood up. He looked nervous, but his voice was clear. I want to say something. These aliens looked at us and saw weakness. They saw children who needed protection. But they do not understand humans. Every game I have played taught me how to think tactically. Every problem I have solved in school taught me how to find answers. We have been training our whole lives, just not in the way they expect. He looked around at the other students. They think we are cubs who should stay in the nursery. Let us show them what human cubs can do when you threaten their pack. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Taeyang stood up. I will fight. Another student stood. Then another. Within 2 minutes, more than 700 students were on their feet. They took a vote. It was not even close. 87% chose to fight. Over the next 2 days, the school became a weapons factory. Mirai trained 20 students in chemistry. They made more thermite charges, smoke bombs, and something she called flashbangs that created bright light and loud noise. In the machine shop, students built simple tools and sharpened metal bars into weapons. Yuna worked with the robotics club. They hacked more drones and started building their own devices. Simple things, but clever. Motion sensors. Remote cameras. Audio recorders. Doyen organized teams. He assigned roles based on what people were good at. Some were scouts. Some were builders. Some would be fighters when the time came. He made backup plans for every plan. He thought 3 steps ahead, just like in his strategy games. The aliens walked through the school every day. They saw students in the chemistry lab mixing things in beakers. They saw kids in the machine shop working on projects. They saw teenagers playing with drones and cameras. Nothing suspicious, just normal school activities. They did not realize they were walking through an armory. On the night before their first operation, Hana gathered the combat team. 20 students, including Doyen, Mirai, and Taiyang. They were all 16 or older. All volunteers. Tomorrow we hit their supply depot, Hana said. It is 2 kilometers from here. They store weapons, ammunition, and equipment there. If we can destroy it or steal from it, we hurt them badly. She showed them the plan. Yuna's drones would cause a distraction on one side of the depot. Mirai's smoke bombs would provide cover. The team would go in fast, grab what they could, and use thermite charges to destroy the rest. It is a good plan, Junho said. He was recovering from his injury and could not go with them. But it is dangerous. These aliens are professional soldiers. Then we will have to be better, Hana said simply. At midnight, they left the school through the ventilation system, the same way Junho had entered. 20 people moving through the dark colony. They wore dark clothes and moved silently. Doyen had taught them how. Basic tactics from his games, but they worked. The supply depot was in an old warehouse. 10 alien guards stood outside. They looked bored. This was a safe area. Nothing ever happened here. At exactly 200 hours, Yuna activated the drones. They flew at the guards from the east side, making noise and flashing lights. The guards raised their weapons and moved to investigate. Mirai threw smoke bombs from the west. Thick gray smoke filled the area. The guards could not see anything. Hana led the team inside. They moved fast. Some grabbed alien weapons and put them in bags. Others placed thermite charges on the ammunition crates. 30 seconds, 45, 1 minute. Then an alarm went off. The guards realized it was not just drones. They started coming back to the depot. Go, Hana shouted. Everyone out! Now they ran. Behind them, the thermite charges ignited. The heat was incredible. The ammunition started exploding. The whole depot went up in flames. The team made it back to the school before dawn. Everyone was alive. Everyone was safe. And they had captured 15 alien weapons. When the other students saw them return, they cheered quietly. They had done it. They had actually attacked the aliens and won. Hana looked at the weapons. They were advanced technology, powered by some kind of energy cells. She did not know how to use them yet, but they would learn. The aliens had made a mistake. They thought human children were weak. They thought they were safe. They thought they were in control. They were wrong about all of it. These aliens think you are babies, Hana continued. They think you cannot fight. They think you are harmless. That is why there are only 2 guards outside. They do not see you as a threat. Are we a threat? Mirai asked. Her voice was quiet but steady. Hana smiled. It was not a happy smile. That depends. Can you make weapons from chemistry lab supplies? Mirai thought for a moment. Yes, thermite is easy. Smoke bombs too. Maybe some other things. Hana looked at Yuna. Can you hack their technology? Yuna was 12 years old. She looked even younger, but her eyes were sharp. I do not know yet. I need to see their systems. But our school has good equipment. I can try. Hana looked at Doyen. Can you plan tactics? Real tactics, not game tactics? Doyen nodded slowly. Tactics are tactics. The principles are the same. Cover, concealment, surprise, superior position. I know how to think strategically. Hana looked at all of them again. Then yes, we might be a threat, but I need to tell you something important. Some of you might die. Some of you will definitely get hurt. This is not a game or a movie. This is war. Real war. The silence lasted a long time. Finally, a 17-year-old boy named Taeyang spoke. What happens if we do nothing? Hana did not sugarcoat it. They will probably take us off this planet. Use us as slaves or hostages, maybe kill us. I do not know their plans, but I know we will not like them. Taeyang nodded. Then we should fight. One by one, the others agreed. Even Yuna, who was the youngest and smallest, said yes. Hana felt something strange in her chest. Pride, maybe, or fear, or both. Okay, she said. Then we fight. But we fight smart. We plan everything carefully. We do not take stupid risks. And most importantly, we work together. Understood? They all nodded. The resistance began that night. In the chemistry lab, Mirai and 3 others started gathering materials. They worked quietly and carefully. In the computer lab, Yuna took apart a school drone and studied its circuits. In the library, Doyen drew maps of the school and the colony, marking enemy positions. The aliens did not notice. They walked past the labs and saw children studying. They walked past the library and saw a boy drawing. Nothing suspicious. just juveniles doing juvenile things. By morning, Mireille had made 12 thermite charges and 20 smoke bombs. Yuna had hacked into the school's security system and could see the cameras. Doyen had finished his tactical map. Hana looked at what they had accomplished in just one night. These kids were incredible. They learned fast. They worked hard. They did not complain. The aliens had made a huge mistake. They saw human children as weak and helpless. They did not understand that human children spent years learning, growing, and preparing for the world. Every game Doyen played had taught him strategy. Every experiment Mireille did had taught her chemistry. Every robot Yuna built had taught her engineering. The galaxy was about to learn something important about humans. Human children were not weak. They were weapons waiting to be activated. And someone had just pressed the trigger. The morning started like any other morning on Titan Colony. The sun rose over the metal buildings. Students walked to school with their bags on their backs. Parents went to work. No one knew that everything was about to change. Hana Kim stood in the high school gym. She was a lieutenant in the Colonial Defense Force. Today she was teaching a safety class to teenagers. It was boring work, but she liked it. After 10 years of fighting wars on other planets, boring was good. She looked at the students. Most of them were not paying attention. A boy named Doyen was playing a game on his tablet. A girl named Mireille was reading a chemistry book. Another girl named Yuna was taking apart a small robot. Normal teenage stuff. Then the lights went out. The emergency power came on after a few seconds. The lights were red now. Hana's radio made a noise. She grabbed it quickly. All units, we are under attack. Unknown enemy forces landing near the main base. This is not a drill. Hana felt her heart beat faster. She had been in combat before. She knew what an attack meant. She looked at the students again. They were all staring at her now. The game and the book and the robot did not matter anymore. Everyone stay calm, she said. Stay here. Lock the doors. I will find out what is happening. But before she could leave, the windows broke. Not from bullets, from sound. A huge ship was landing right next to the school. It was bigger than anything Hana had ever seen. The metal was black and covered with strange symbols. The radio made more noise, screaming, explosions, then nothing. Just static. Hana ran to the window. She saw soldiers coming out of the ship. They were not human. They had 4 arms and gray skin. They wore armor that looked very advanced. They carried weapons that glowed with blue light. Aliens, someone said behind her. It was Doyen. He had come to look too. Real aliens. Hana pulled him away from the window. Get down. Everyone get away from the windows. The students moved quickly. Some were crying. Some were silent. All of them were scared. Hana was scared too, but she could not show it. She was the only soldier here. These kids needed her. Over the next hour, things got worse. Hana tried her radio again and again. No answer. She tried the computer. No internet. They were cut off from everything. Then the aliens came to the school. They did not attack. They just walked in through the front doors. 6 of them. They had weapons, but they did not point them at anyone. They just looked around the gym like they were counting something. One of them spoke. The voice came from a device on its chest. The words were in English, but the accent was strange. All juveniles will remain here. You will not be harmed if you cooperate. Your adults have been secured. This facility is now under hegemony control. Juveniles. They thought the students were children. Young children who could not fight back. Hana stepped forward. I am Lieutenant Hana Kim of the Colonial Defense Force. Under the laws of war, you must... The alien made a gesture. One of the others grabbed Hana. Its 4 arms were very strong. It took her gun and her radio. You are a juvenile caretaker, the alien said. You will help keep the juveniles calm. If you resist, we will separate you from them. They pushed her back toward the students. Then the aliens left. Only 2 stayed outside the doors as guards. Hana looked at the 800 students in the gym. They looked back at her, waiting, hoping she had a plan. She did not have a plan. The military base was destroyed. The adults were captured. Help would not come in time. They were alone. That night, Hana could not sleep. She sat in the corner of the gym and watched the students. Some slept. Some cried quietly. Some just stared at the ceiling. Doyen came and sat next to her. He was 16 years old. Too young for this. But then again, how old did you need to be for an alien invasion? What are we going to do? He asked quietly. Hana looked at him. She should tell him to stay calm, to wait for rescue, to be a good kid and not cause trouble. That is what a responsible adult would say. But Hana remembered something from her training. The most important rule of being captured by an enemy. Never stop trying to escape. I need to talk to some people, she said. Can you quietly get me Mirai, Yuna, and maybe 5 or 6 of the older students? The smart ones. The ones who can keep secrets. Doyen's eyes got wider. You want to fight back? I want to survive, Hana said. Fighting might be the only way to do that. 20 minutes later, 10 teenagers sat in a circle around Hana. She looked at each one. Doyun, the gamer. Mirai, the chemistry student. Yuna, the robotics genius. And 7 others, all between 14 and 17 years old. I am going to be very honest with you, Hana said. The military base is destroyed. The adults are captured. No help is coming. We are on our own. No one spoke. They just waited.